Okay, well, welcome. Welcome to the Creative Cities reading section. And today we're going to talk about the neighborhood. Now, sometimes I hear students making the mistake, not really knowing the difference between neighborhood and neighbor. Okay, so just to be clear, the neighborhood is where you live. It's the area where you live. It's not a it's not big. It's just the little area where you live. Well, yeah, kind of a small area where you live. And neighbor, this is the person or neighbors, the people who live near you. So for example, next door neighbor is, somebody says, oh, we are your next door neighbors. They live next to you. And a lot of people live in apartas. Some of you live in villas, but most live in apartas, but you could also be in a dorm. It's all the same. Hey, I live right next to you. I'm your neighbor. I'm your next door neighbor. Or I'm your downstairs neighbor. I'm your upstairs neighbor. So these are just people who live near you. They live next to you, next door neighbor. They live downstairs, downstairs neighbor. They live upstairs, upstairs neighbor. Yeah, that's it. So neighbor, someone who lives near you, very near you, very close to you. Neighborhood, the area where all of you live. And of course, every neighborhood has different things, some good, some bad, and that is what we are going to talk about here, and also do a reading about Theaster Gates and his neighborhood and how it was and what he did with it. But you should already know a little bit about this from the TED Talk that we watched. All right, so enough about neighborhoods and neighbors and all that. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to the next slide. All right, so these are the qualities of a neighborhood. All right, so I want you guys to match the word sets. So for example, clean streets. What's next? So these words and these words only, and then these words and these words only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a minute, and then after a minute, if you need more time, you can pause. But I'm going to wait 1 minute. And I will have a timer. That is why I have my phone. Okay, so as you can see, timer. Okay, so that sound means that 1 minute is up. If you need more time, Please pause your video now. Okay, so if you've unpaused your video, it means you're ready for the answers. Here we go. We have clean streets, affordable housing, housing that is not expensive. All right, heavy traffic, friendly neighbors. So the people, again, who live near you, they're friendly. All right, low crime rate, green space, vacant, which means empty. Oh, sorry, reliable public transportation, always on time. All right, and vacant, which I said means empty, buildings. Okay, so now, of course, if we were in class, I'd go over, what do you think is good or bad, but let's just go over this anyway. Let me remind you. All right, clean streets, great. Affordable housing, very good. Heavy traffic, not so good. Friendly neighbors, great. Low crime rate, perfect. Green space, you always want green space. Reliable public transportation or reliable transport, always a good thing. Vacant buildings, no, not good. So most of these are good qualities. A couple of them are not so good qualities of a neighborhood. All right. So again, as usual, if you need to pause here, go ahead. All right, so now we're going to listen to this man, Craig Albrechtsen, and it's Peter Metzberg. Okay, that Peter Metzberg is his hometown, and he's going to talk about, the good and the bad of his hometown. All right, so the first part here where it says identifying pros and cons, because this is a video, these are just tips on taking notes, how using a chart can sometimes help you. You put the good things and the bad things. And I believe for this, there is a chart. One of the last things will be a chart. But first, we are going to listen, or actually we're going to watch him. There's a short video, about a minute. We're going to watch him talk about his hometown in South Africa. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Peter Metzberg. Anyways, watch and circle the topics that you hear him say, that he mentions, that you hear him say.
I'm from South Africa. I grew up in a city called Metzberg. It's in the west of the country, not so far from Durban. I grew up in a quiet neighborhood in the suburbs. It's a really nice place with a lot of nature and green space. There are a lot of fruit trees around. And as children, we used to pick the fruit and hang out and eat it all day. Traffic isn't so heavy, so the children can play in the streets. I spent a lot of time outside when I was young. There's a university in Pietermaritzburg, so the nightlife is pretty good near the city center. The only downside, I guess, is that in my neighborhood, the public transportation isn't very good. So it's a bit difficult to get around if you don't have a car. But it was a really good place to grow up. I think I was pretty lucky to live there.
Okay. All right, so if you need to watch this one more time, just kind of rewind this video and watch it one more time. If if it helps you in any way. All right. Again, what I'll do here is, again, I'll give you 1 minute. I will have this timer. And let me set it for 1 minute. Wait a minute. Okay. I'm just going to set this for 1 minute. Oh. Anyways, you have 1 minute starting now. All right, as usual, if you need more time, pause the video now. Welcome back. Here we go. Here are the answers. So the things that he mentions about his hometown: green space, traffic, nightlife, public transportation. That's it. So that's it. So green space, traffic, nightlife, public transportation. Those are the things he mentions. If you need to pause and circle, go ahead. And I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. All right, remember I said at the beginning there was a thing about taking notes. And they said, oh, a good thing is a chart. All right, so I'm going to play now the audio. Not watch the video, just the audio. And I want you guys to do B and C. What are the pros? What are the good things he said about his hometown? What is the bad thing he said about his hometown? And what do you think? If somebody asked you, hey, did he like growing up in his hometown? Yes, he did because. No, he didn't because. So that's what C is. So I'm going to play the video, give you guys a minute. If you need more time, you know what you should do. But first, let's listen. Oh.
I'm from South Africa. I grew up in a city called Metzberg. It's in the west of the country, not so far from Durban. I grew up in a quiet neighborhood in the suburbs. It's a really nice place with a lot of nature and green space. There are a lot of fruit trees around. And as children, we used to pick the fruit and hang out and eat it all day. Traffic isn't so heavy, so the children can play in the streets. I spent a lot of time outside when I was young. There's a university in Metzberg, so the nightlife is pretty good near the city center. The only downside, I guess, is that in my neighborhood, the public transportation isn't very good. So it's a bit difficult to get around if you don't have a car. But it was a really good place to grow up. I think I was pretty lucky to live there.
Okay, so I will set the timer for 1 minute, starting now. All right. So if you need more time, please pause your video now. Okay, welcome back. Let's go over the answers. All right, here are the pros. Here are the good things he liked about his neighborhood. A lot of nature, a lot of green space, a lot of fruit trees. Him and his friends would eat the fruits right off the trees. Traffic is not heavy, so that's always good. And he said because there is a university, nightlife in the area is good. He said there is one thing he did not like about his neighborhood, the area where he lived. Public transportation isn't good. Now, overall, did he like growing up in his neighborhood? Yes. He generally liked it. You know, there are more good things that he said than bad. Just this chart, we have 3 good, 1 bad. All right. So if you need more time to write all this, please pause the video now and go ahead and write. Okay, moving on. Now we get into Theaster Gates. Sorry, my phone's acting up. All right, so we are going to read about him, but first, a little bit about him and more about where he grew up. But first, just so you know, the Theaster Gates' first art project in the UK saw non-stop musical performances held in the ruins, old buildings of an old church. Okay. So here we have, read the first paragraph. What problems on the south side of Chicago are mentioned? So here we have the south side of Chicago is a part of the city that has seen better days. Crime is a problem, and there are few jobs. Many blocks contain vacant buildings, but one resident is using his art to bring new life to the place. So, what are the problems mentioned here? I'll give you, this time I'll give you 30 seconds. You know what to do. At this point, you should know what to do if you need more time. So go ahead and do that now. Welcome back. All right. Oops. Okay, so the problems that are mentioned in his neighborhood. Crime, not many jobs, empty buildings. Remember, I said vacant means empty. So you can underline this, you can circle like I did, it's your choice, but this is it. If you need to pause, go ahead, but I'm going to move on. Now, okay. I have set this up so that when I have the next slide, it's going to get into the reading.
Reshaping a city. The south side of Chicago is a part of the city that has seen better days. Crime is a problem, and there are few jobs. Many blocks contain vacant buildings, but one resident is using his art to bring new life to the place. Theaster Gates saw the decline of his neighborhood firsthand. As he grew up, he watched as buildings were demolished by the local government or abandoned by their owners. But as a potter, Gates knew how to make beautiful things from very little. In 2008, he decided to buy a vacant house not far from his own home, and he started to renovate it. He used the house to stage exhibitions and meetings, and the site soon attracted many visitors. The success of the project led Gates to buy more properties, turning them into cultural centers and meeting places. As Gates says, we were slowly starting to reshape how people imagined the south side of the city. One building, named Listening House, has a collection of old books that were donated by publishing companies and bookstores. Another building was turned into a movie theater and named Black Cinema House. It became so popular that soon there wasn't enough room for all the visitors, and a new location needed to be found. Gates is now a well-known international artist. He has taken part in art shows in Germany and the United Kingdom. And in 2014, he was named as one of the most powerful people in contemporary art by Art Review magazine. But Gates hasn't forgotten his neighborhood, and his work in Chicago continues. Gates has helped design a $1 million art project for one of the South Side's subway stations.
All right. As you can see, that was quick. It went from the reading to what you need to do. So you have the book. You should have the book with you. You can look at the reading. So what you're going to do here is match each paragraph with its purpose. Okay, so basically, what does each paragraph explain, describe, introduce, give an example of? And as usual, 1 minute, and then you know what to do after that, starting now. Okay, as usual, you need more time. Pause now. Okay, welcome back. All right, here we go. Paragraph 1. Introduces and describes Chicago's South Side. Paragraph 2. Explains why Gates started his first renovation project. Paragraph 3 describes how his first project led to more. Paragraph 4 gives examples of 2 of his projects in Chicago. And paragraph 5 describes how he continues to work in Chicago despite international fame. All right, as usual, if you need to pause because I was too fast, go ahead. But I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1. All right, so here, again, 1 minute, just a second. 1 minute to circle true, false, or the information is not given. It's not there. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but we don't know. It is not in the article. It is not in the reading. Okay? First, I'm going to start with 1 minute now. All right, that means 1 minute is up. If you need more time, please pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. Here we go, true, false, or not given. All right, Theaster Gates grew up in Chicago. I think we all know that. Right. The first house Gates renovated was near his home. Yes. Listening House is much bigger than Black Cinema House. We don't know. Maybe, but the information is not there. Few people visited Black Cinema House. False. So many came that they had to find a bigger place. Gates has had art shows in Europe. True, remember, old ruins of an old church, nonstop dance. All right, Gates continues to work in Chicago. True. So all these things, only one is false and one we don't know. But everything else is true. All right, if you need to pause and circle, go ahead. But I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so now we're going to match the words in blue from the passage to their definition. So what does each word mean? All right, again, this time I'm going to do 45 seconds. Then if you need more time, you know what to do. But first, 45 seconds starting now. Okay, if you need more time, please pause your video now. Okay, welcome back. What does each word mean? Block. 1 block, 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away. A block is an area of land with streets on all sides. A resident is someone who lives in a particular area. Renovate. To make repairs to improve a place's condition. Stage. Okay, in this case, it's the verb stage. So to stage something is to produce a play, a performance, a musical, or something on a stage. So you have the noun stage and the verb stage. Location. A place where something happens. And decline. To decline is to decrease, to go down. So decline, a decrease in quality or importance. All right, if you need more time, pause now. Okay, let's move on. Don't worry about this. All right, so this is a group work preview of what you're going to be doing in the Zoom class. I will be giving you guys a PowerPoint. You guys will choose, each student will choose one place and then have a conversation using this script. You can add more to the conversation if you want, but the basic conversation will be this. All right, the conversation should play. Oops. But it's not playing. So here it.
I hear you moved to a new place. Yeah, I did. I moved last month. So, how do you like your neighborhood? Well, it's okay. The streets are really clean, and there are a lot of parks nearby, but the traffic is really heavy. Yeah? Maybe you should take the train. I thought about it, but I heard it's not very reliable. So, why don't you buy a bike? It's good exercise. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll think about it.
Now the difference will be, for the good things, you're going to name 3 things, and for the bad thing, 1. You will have the places, you will have more than 1, but you only have to choose 1. If there are 3 of you in a group or 4 of you, you can still do A, B, or you can choose to do A, B, C, A, B, C. But remember, student B, is the student who moved. So student A is asking questions. Student C would also might ask something. So you're going to plan this conversation in your groups, and I will be giving you a PowerPoint in class for your groups with many different places. Each student, you just pick one, and here's the conversation. Of course, I will remind you in Zoom class. When we have to do this, I will tell you, remember in the video when I talked about this, and then I will tell you one more time what you need to do. So on that note, except for a couple of little things here and there, as we say, a couple of hiccups. It went pretty well, so I'll see you guys in Zoom class. It won't be Zoom class 1, it will be Zoom class 2. But I'll see you guys in the Zoom class.